the coaching carousel. The NBA is on a sabbatical. They did not play last night. It was a travel day. Celtics and Heat will resume the wrangling in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals. That'll be on primetime tonight, primetime, Thursday night here in the Commonwealth. And so we turn our attention to the carousel. One of the cool things about this job is we come in here and we blab and we blab and we blab. But every single day we go where the sporting news of the day takes us, and that would be Detroit basketball. Now, we don't talk about the Pistons because we want people to listen. And if you talk about the Pistons, you can feel the devices turning off as you're talking. But the Pistons are in the market for a new head coach, and we've seen that before. Dwayne Casey was not fired. He was given some pencil-pushing job in the front office following another dismal season of basketball. So Detroit is big game hunting. And here's where the intersection takes place. The two roads meet each other. And we're told that former Suns head coach Monty Williams, the full Monty Williams, is the person of interest that the Pistons would like to hire. He's at the very top of their wish list. Have they been naughty? Have they been nice? Well, the Pistons made a big money, no whammy, big money offer to Monty Williams. And Monty Williams looked at the Pistons roster. He then looked at it again. He tried not to laugh, and he rejected their interest. That, according to our friend Mark Stein, NBA Insiders, tells us that the Pistons, they were thinking they were going to get Victor Wembanyama, the Parisian prodigy. They were going to win those sweepstakes in the draft lottery. They did not. In fact, they even fell further back than they were anticipating in the lottery. And then they decided they wanted Monty Williams. They wanted to lure him with cold cash, and he said, thank you, no thank you. I am not interested in hanging out in Michigan. Not going to happen. So let us discuss the question. What do you think of Monty Williams turning down the Pistons job? So I've got booster seat, confectionery, and Peter Parker. And we'll combine all of these things together, and we will make a blowout loss at home in an elimination game. That is the proprietary blend of Monty Williams. He's mastered that. So number one. To answer the question of what I think of Monty Williams turning down the Pistons job, this was a pragmatic approach by Mr. Williams, right? Business-like. Monty Williams has coached a couple of teams around the NBA. He's put together a resume. Some of it is good. Some of it is really bad. And Monty Williams has a lot of friends in the media that will look out for him. And that is an ace card. When you have media underlings that will plant stories about how great you are and how you should be hired by Team X, that's wonderful. And so you've got people looking out for you, the guardian angels, if you will. But Monty Williams also has something else which is very important. He can act like a toddler in a booster seat and be a fussy eater and futz around with his carrots and his peas and only eat what he wants. Monty Williams, you see, he's got the L word, leverage, a whole lot of leverage. How much leverage does Monty Williams have? The Suns owe him over $20 million. Over $20 million. So I looked it up. I said, that's a lot of money. That seems like that's like a lottery. And sure enough, it is. According to the data that I found, a minutes-long Maller investigation on the internet.
Take that for data.
Monty Williams is owed over $21 million. That is bigger than the lottery payouts yesterday in states such as Massachusetts, Illinois, Oregon, and Georgia. So he's got more money coming his way than if he had won a jackpot in the lottery. So he's already got the bonanza, and when you have the bonanza, you can be picky. You can be very picky, and that's what he's doing. Now, page 2, why is the Detroit job a bad fit for Monty Williams, just a bad job all the way around? Well, the obvious answer is the foul odor that Tayshaun Prince and Joe Dumars and Ben Wallace are not walking back through that door in the locker room. And if you go to the confectionery and order a couple of pints, the Pistons flavor is Rocky Road. That's the Piston flavor. There's a lot of nuts, a lot of marshmallows, all mixed in there. It's a hodgepodge of a roster. They're lacking the razzmatazz. The closest thing they have is a guy named Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham is his name. He was a former number 1 overall pick who's been okay. Last season, he injured himself. He had a shin injury, and he missed most of the season. But he's the centerpiece. And we're high on Jaden Ivey, and we liked him when he was in the Big Ten, a fellow point guard who's shown flashes of success, but still very raw. The rest of the roster is a group of flotsam and jetsam. You've got Marvin Bagley III, failed in Sacramento, James Weissman, who was a bust for Golden State, and players along that ilk who are up and down the roster. All right, so turning the page. I want to get away from Monty Williams for a second because there's another story that we touched on briefly in a previous episode, but it's a doozy, and that involves the doc. Not a real doctor, Glenn Rivers. Glenn Rivers is getting some FaceTime, we are told, with the hierarchy in Phoenix. There is some speculation that he will actually meet with the Suns' owner, Matt Ishbia. So let's answer the question. Is Doc Rivers getting FaceTime with the hierarchy in Arizona a big deal, a little deal, or no deal? So it is not no deal, it is not a little deal, and it is not a big deal. It is a massive deal. Now, unlike Monty Williams, who can be selective, Doc Rivers, if he wants to keep coaching, he's going to have to get a job right away. That's my theory. He does have a lot of money coming his way. Doc Rivers is owed $16 million by the dum-dums in Philadelphia that gave him a big contract a couple years ago. But if he wants to keep going here, you cross over into television and you follow in the footsteps of Mark Jackson, who it appears will never coach again, or either of the Van Gundys, the traveling Van Gundys, Stan and Jeff, who have not been hot commodities on the coaching circuit. Certainly Jeff Van Gundy more than Stan Van Gundy, who's only been broadcasting for a little bit. But that will be what the future is. If Doc Rivers goes, and he can get a TV job at TNT or ESPN right away, or NBA television, state-sponsored NBA television, but that's what he'll have the rest of the way. It is imperative that Doc Rivers get a head coaching job. It's also important to note that the reason this is a massive deal, as we have referenced, I think you're smart enough to understand this. Doc Rivers is a ninja at conniving, and he's got a bit of Spider-Man tendencies in him. Peter Parker pointed out that some spiders change colors to blend into their environment, and that is Doc Rivers. He's a chameleon, is what he is. He can charm the socks off any highfalutin owner in the NBA. What's my evidence? He's done it multiple times. He's done it in Orlando and Boston with the Clippers and Philadelphia, and he's a carpetbagger. He's on to the next. He's debonair. Doc is a smooth operator. And you have a neophyte owner, Matt Ishbia, who's been very successful in his private business, but as an NBA owner, how's that working out? Not so good. So Doc Rivers, he can sweet talk Matt Ishbia, and Matt Ishbia will walk out of that meeting if he has FaceTime with Doc Rivers thinking that Doc Rivers is a combination of Red Auerbach and Phil Jackson. That if they put those two together, boom, you got the Doc. And it is a danger zone for the Suns because Monty Williams, we know he blew an elimination game back-to-back years in blowout losses. But Doc Rivers is like, hold my beer with the record. He has unbreakable records for blowing leads in the playoffs. And he's so bad, you can wake up the dead with his coaching resume. And yet the fact that he's even getting a meeting. When I first saw this, I thought, well, come on. That's just some friends of Doc in the media that are planning that story, but it appears that it is accurate, that nobody has debunked it, that Doc Rivers, can you imagine that Doc Rivers is one of the finalists for the Suns job after his failures with Lob City Clippers and with the Philadelphia 76ers, and he's still jockeying for position to get a head coaching job? What the hell? Reminds me of, in the radio business, there was a guy that used to work at our company a long time ago, and he had an unbelievable demo tape back when you had to have a demo tape, and he got hired. He had a bunch of great jobs. The problem was once he got the job, he was incompetent. It was a futile effort for him to do broadcasting because he was good in like a 3-minute demo tape that he sent out and got hired on, but in actually doing the day-to-day meat and potatoes and having to come up with original content, he had nothing. I think he's flying the space shuttle right now, I believe. I think that guy's flying the space shuttle.